I walked into the hospital maternity ward carrying 2 bouquets of pink roses and a folder of legal documents that would destroy 2 lives. The nurse at the station smiled at me. "Room 347, she said cheerfully. "They just had a beautiful baby girl." I thanked her, my hand steady despite my racing heart. 9 months. I'd waited 9 months for this moment. 9 months of pretending I didn't know. 9 months of playing the supportive best friend and the loving wife. 9 months of planning the perfect revenge. I'm so glad you're here. If you're watching this video, please like and subscribe to my channel and tell me in the comments where you're listening to my story from. I want to know how far it's traveled. Because what happened in that hospital room, the papers I served, the truth I revealed, and the custody battle I'd been preparing for since the moment I saw that positive pregnancy test, changed everything. My name is Isabelle. I'm 37 years old and I live in Seattle, Washington. I'm a family law attorney, ironic, I know, a marathon runner, and until 9 months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. A successful husband named James, a beautiful home in Capitol Hill, and a best friend named Monica who I'd known since college. We were inseparable, the 3 of us. Game nights every Friday, vacations together, holiday dinners. We were family, until I found out they were making a different kind of family behind my back. It started with a text message, a simple, innocent text that appeared on James's phone while he was in the shower and I was looking for mine. His phone was on the kitchen counter, face up, the screen glowing with a new message notification. It was from Monica. I can't stop thinking about last night. When are we telling her? My stomach dropped. The world tilted. I stared at those words, reading them over and over, hoping I'd misunderstood. Telling me what? What had happened last night? James had said he was working late. Monica had told me she had a date with some guy from her gym. They'd lied, both of them. I heard the shower turn off. My hands moved on autopilot. I grabbed my phone, took a photo of his screen, and set his phone back exactly where it had been. Then I went to the living room, sat on our gray velvet couch, and waited. James came out 10 minutes later, his hair still damp, wearing the navy blue bathrobe I'd bought him for Christmas. "Hey babe," he said casually. "Want to grab breakfast somewhere?" I looked at him. This man I'd been married to for 8 years. This man who'd promised me forever at a ceremony overlooking Puget Sound. This man who was apparently sleeping with my best friend. "Sure," I said, my voice sounding normal even though I was screaming inside. "Breakfast sounds great." We went to our usual spot, a little cafe on Pike Street that made the best eggs Benedict in Seattle. We ordered, we ate. We talked about his work, my cases, whether we should finally book that trip to Portugal we'd been planning. Normal conversation, normal smiles, normal lies. I went home and I did what any good attorney would do. I investigated. I checked James's phone while he was at work. He'd deleted Monica's text, but he hadn't deleted the entire conversation thread. I scrolled back through weeks of messages. They'd been careful, but not careful enough. Vague references to missing you and can't wait to see you again, and this is getting complicated. How long had this been going on? I checked our credit card statements. Hotel charges I didn't recognize. Restaurant bills on nights James said he was working late. Jewelry purchases I'd never received. The evidence was there, methodical and damning, hiding in plain sight. I felt like I was drowning. Like I was watching my life from outside my body, seeing the truth while simultaneously wanting to deny it. Monica. My best friend Monica. The woman who'd been my maid of honor. The woman who'd held my hand when I had a miscarriage 3 years ago. The woman I trusted with everything. She was sleeping with my husband. I called her that night, keeping my voice normal, friendly. "Hey, wanna grab drinks tomorrow? I feel like we haven't caught up in forever." "Oh my God, yes," Monica said, her voice bright and enthusiastic. "I actually have something I need to talk to you about." My heart stopped. "Really? What is it?" "I'll tell you tomorrow. Meet you at our usual place? 7 o'clock? "Perfect," I said. "Can't wait." I hung up and stared at my phone. Something she needed to talk to me about. I had a terrible feeling I knew what it was. The next evening, I met Monica at our favorite wine bar in Belltown. She was already there when I arrived, sitting at our usual corner table, her auburn hair pulled back in a messy bun, wearing a flowy blouse I'd helped her pick out 2 months ago. She looked nervous, excited, scared. "Hey you," she said, standing to hug me. I hugged her back, breathing in her familiar perfume, something floral and expensive, and felt my stomach turn. We ordered wine. Well, I ordered wine. Monica ordered sparkling water. "Not drinking?" I asked, keeping my tone light. She twisted her hands in her lap. "Izzy, I have something to tell you. Something big. Here it comes," I thought. She's going to tell me she's pregnant. With my husband's baby. "I'm pregnant," she said, her voice shaking. I let the appropriate amount of surprise register on my face. "Oh my God. Monica, wow. Who's the father? Is it that guy from the gym?" She looked down at her water glass. It's complicated. Complicated how? I've been seeing someone for a few months now. It wasn't supposed to happen. It just did. And now I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do." I leaned forward, playing the concerned best friend. "Who is he? Does he know?" "He knows. He's married." She said it quietly, almost ashamed. "Married." I let shock color my voice. "Monica, how could you—" I know it's wrong, but I love him, Izzy. I really do. And he says he's going to leave his wife. He's just waiting for the right time. The right time. The classic line of every cheating spouse in history. "Are you sure about this?" I asked. "Are you sure he's going to leave her?" Because married men say that all the time and then— "He will," she interrupted. "I trust him. He loves me. And this baby. This baby is going to be our fresh start." I wanted to throw my wine in her face. I wanted to scream. Instead, I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "If you're happy, then I'm happy for you. You know I'll support you no matter what." She started crying. "I was so scared to tell you. I thought you'd judge me." "Never," I lied. "You're my best friend. I love you." We finished our drinks. Well, I finished mine while she nursed her water, and made plans to go shopping for baby things the following week. She hugged me goodbye outside the wine bar, thanking me for being so understanding, so supportive, so wonderful. I drove home and vomited in my driveway. That night, when James came home from working late, I watched him carefully. He kissed my forehead, asked about my day, microwaved leftovers from the fridge. So normal, so casual, so completely full of shit. "I saw Monica today," I said, watching his reaction. He paused, fork halfway to his mouth. "Yeah? How's she doing?" "She's pregnant." The fork clattered against his plate. "What?" "Pregnant. Can you believe it? Apparently she's been seeing some married guy and now she's having his baby." I kept my voice light, conversational. Crazy, right? James's face had gone pale. Did she say who the father is?" "No. Just that he's married and planning to leave his wife." I looked directly at him. What kind of man gets his mistress pregnant while he's still married, do you think? "I don't know," James said, his voice strained. That's a mess." "It really is," I agreed. I told her I'd support her, though. That's what best friends do, right? Support each other through anything. He nodded, not meeting my eyes, and went back to his food. But I noticed his hands were shaking. Over the next few days, I watched them both squirm. Monica texted me constantly, asking for advice about pregnancy, about what to tell her family, about how to handle the situation. James became distant, distracted, jumping every time his phone buzzed. I played along. I was the supportive best friend and the loving wife. I went to Monica's first ultrasound appointment with her. Yes, she asked me to go because the father couldn't make it. And I watched that little blob on the screen that was half my husband, and I smiled and told her how excited I was for her. Inside, I was already planning. See, I'm a family law attorney. I specialize in custody cases, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. I hired a private investigator named David Choi. He was expensive but discreet, recommended by a colleague who'd used him in a particularly ugly divorce case. "I need everything," I told him, handing over what I'd already found. Photos, videos, hotel records, witness statements. I need a timeline of the entire affair. David nodded, reviewing my evidence. How long do you want me to follow them? As long as it takes to build an airtight case. It took him 3 weeks to compile everything I needed. Hotel surveillance footage of James and Monica checking in together. Credit card receipts documenting dinners, gifts, hotel rooms. Text messages I hadn't been able to access, retrieved through methods I didn't ask about. Photos of them together, kissing, holding hands, looking at each other the way James used to look at me. The timeline showed the affair had started 6 months before Monica got pregnant. 6 months of lies. 6 months of them sneaking around behind my back. 6 months of Friday game nights where they sat across from each other pretending to be just friends while I sat there like an idiot. I took everything to my colleague and mentor, Patricia Chen, a senior partner at our firm who specialized in high-conflict custody cases. I showed her the evidence. I showed her the pregnancy timeline. I explained what I wanted to do. Patricia studied the documents, her expression neutral, but her eyes sharp. You want to file for custody of a baby that hasn't been born yet? I want to establish my legal standing before the baby is born, I corrected. As the wife of the biological father, I have potential rights, especially if I can prove that James is an unfit parent and that Monica's pregnancy was the result of an affair that destroyed my marriage. It's aggressive, Patricia said. The court might not grant you custody. They might not, I agreed, but they'll have to consider it. And in the meantime, James and Monica will have to face what they've done in front of a judge, in front of lawyers, in front of everyone. Patricia smiled, a small, sharp smile. When do you want to file? The day the baby is born. For the next 6 months, I played the long game. I was the perfect wife, the perfect best friend. I went to Monica's baby shower. Yes, she had a baby shower, and yes, James couldn't attend because of work. And I bought her expensive gifts, and cooed over tiny pink onesies, and pretended I didn't know my husband was the father. Monica talked constantly about the baby's father, how he was almost ready to leave his wife, how they were making plans for their future together. She'd started looking at apartments, talking about where she'd raise the baby, what kind of life they'd have. Has he left his wife yet? I'd ask, knowing the answer. Not yet, Monica would say, her smile faltering. Soon, though, he promises. James, meanwhile, was becoming increasingly anxious. He'd lost weight. He wasn't sleeping well. He jumped every time I mentioned Monica or the baby. Several times I caught him staring at me with this strange expression. Guilt? Fear? Maybe both. Is everything okay? I'd ask. You seem stressed. Just work, he'd lie. Big project, lots of pressure. I'd nod sympathetically and go back to whatever I was doing, all while documenting everything. Every lie, every hotel receipt, every suspicious late night, building my case, brick by brick. I also did something else, something that would become crucial later. I reached out to Monica's mother, Catherine, under the pretense of planning something special for Monica's birthday. Catherine lived in Spokane and didn't know about the pregnancy yet. Monica had been avoiding telling her family, waiting until the father left his wife. I'm worried about Monica, I told Catherine over the phone. She seems stressed lately. Has she talked to you about anything? No, Catherine said, concern in her voice. What's going on? I'm not sure. I think she might be dealing with something difficult. Maybe you could give her a call, check in. Catherine promised she would, and she did. Which meant when the truth came out, Monica's own family would remember that I'd been the one who cared enough to reach out. Strategic? Yes. Manipulative? Maybe. But I was playing chess while they were playing checkers. Monica's due date approached. She'd decided on a hospital in downtown Seattle, the same hospital where I'd been treated after my miscarriage 3 years ago. The irony wasn't lost on me. Will you be there? Monica asked me 2 weeks before her due date. When the baby comes? I know it's a lot to ask, but the father might not be able to make it right away, and I don't want to be alone. The father might not be able to make it, because he'd have to explain to his wife where he was going. Of course I'll be there, I told her. You're my best friend. I wouldn't miss it. She hugged me, crying, thanking me for being so wonderful, so supportive, so amazing. I hugged her back and thought about the folder of custody papers sitting in my car, already filed, already processed, just waiting to be served. The call came at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning in September. Monica, her voice tight with pain. Izzy, it's time. I'm at Swedish Medical Center. Can you come? I'm on my way, I said. I got dressed calmly, deliberately. I grabbed the folder from my home office. I grabbed 2 bouquets of pink roses I'd purchased the day before. One for Monica, one for the nurses. I grabbed my phone and checked one last time that everything was ready. Then I drove to the hospital, my heart pounding, but my hands steady. Monica was in labor for 7 hours. I stayed with her the whole time, holding her hand, getting her ice chips, breathing with her through contractions. She kept asking about him, kept checking her phone, waiting for the father to show up. He didn't. James had texted me earlier saying he had an early meeting and would be unreachable. Coward. At 11:23 a.m., Monica gave birth to a baby girl, 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Perfect and tiny and innocent. The nurse placed her on Monica's chest, and Monica sobbed, a mixture of joy and exhaustion, and probably fear about doing this alone. She's beautiful, I said, and I meant it. Whatever else was true, this baby was innocent. None of this was her fault. Do you want to hold her? Monica asked. I did. I held that tiny baby girl who was genetically half my husband, and I felt a complicated mixture of emotions I couldn't name. Love, anger, grief for what should have been mine. What are you going to name her? I asked. Emma, Monica said. Emma Rose. Emma. The same name James and I had chosen for the baby I'd miscarried 3 years ago. Something hardened in my chest. I handed Emma back to the nurse for her first checkup. Monica was being moved to a recovery room. I need to make a phone call, I told her. I'll be right back. I stepped into the hallway and sent 2 text messages. One to James. Monica had the baby. You should probably get here. One to my process server. A woman named Lynn, who'd been waiting at a cafe 2 blocks away. Room 347. Now. Then I went back into the room with my folder and my roses and my perfectly calm expression. Monica was in the recovery room, Emma in a bassinet beside her when James finally arrived. It was 1:15 p.m., almost 2 hours after the birth. He looked panicked, disheveled, like he'd run all the way from wherever he'd been hiding. Monica, he said, rushing to her bedside. Then he stopped, noticing me standing in the corner. Izzy, what are you doing here? I told you, Monica said, reaching for his hand. Izzy's been with me through everything. She's my best friend. James looked at me, really looked at me, and in that moment I saw him realize, saw him understand that I knew, that I'd known all along. James, I said calmly, we need to talk. Before he could respond, there was a knock on the door. Lynn, my process server, walked in wearing professional business attire, carrying a courier bag. I'm looking for Monica Hernandez and James Fitzpatrick, she said formally. Monica frowned. That's us. Who are you? I'm a legal process server. I have documents for both of you. She handed Monica an envelope. She handed James an envelope. They both stared at them, confused, then looked at me. What is this? James asked, his voice tight. Open them, I said. James opened his first. I watched his face drain of color as he read the first page. Divorce papers. You're filing for divorce. Yes, I said calmly. On grounds of adultery. I'm also filing for a portion of custody of Emma. What? Monica's voice was sharp with panic. She'd opened her envelope now, reading through the documents. Custody? You can't, this isn't your baby. She's my husband's baby, I said. which gives me legal standing as a step-parent to petition for custody, especially given the circumstances of her conception. Monica looked like she'd been slapped. You knew? This whole time you knew? I found out 9 months ago, I said. The day you told James you were pregnant. I've spent the last 9 months gathering evidence of your affair, documenting everything, building a case, every hotel visit, every lie, every time you pretended to be my friend while sleeping with my husband. James had sunk into a chair, his head in his hands. Izzy, please, don't, I interrupted. Don't you dare. You don't get to please me. Not after this. Monica was crying now, clutching the custody papers. You can't take my baby. You can't do this. I'm not trying to take your baby, I said, and my voice was softer now. Emma is your daughter, but she's also James's daughter, and as his wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, I have rights to consider. The court will decide what's in Emma's best interest. You're doing this for revenge, Monica spat. This is just revenge because you're angry. I'm doing this because you two destroyed my life, I said simply. And because I'm a family law attorney who knows exactly how custody cases work. You got pregnant during an affair with a married man. That will be considered by the court. James financially supported this pregnancy with marital assets. That will be considered. You both lied repeatedly to everyone around you. That will be considered. I pulled out my phone and showed them the folder of evidence I'd compiled. Hundreds of documents, photos, hotel receipts, text messages. I have everything, I said. Dates, times, locations, a complete timeline of your affair, bank statements showing James used our joint account to pay for your hotels and your gifts. I even have testimony from witnesses who saw you together. James looked up at me, his eyes red. Why wait until now? Why not confront us months ago? Because I wanted you to feel safe, I said. I wanted you to think you'd gotten away with it. I wanted you to think you could have your happy little family while I played the oblivious wife and supportive best friend. And I wanted to make sure that when I finally revealed the truth, it would be at the moment it would hurt the most. Monica was sobbing, her whole body shaking. I thought you were my friend. I was your friend, I said, and for the first time my voice cracked. I was your best friend. I would have done anything for you, and you betrayed me in the worst possible way. A nurse knocked and entered, checking on Monica and the baby, and the moment broke. She looked at all of us, Monica crying, James gray-faced, me standing there with my folder of evidence, and her expression turned wary. Is everything okay in here? Everything's fine, I said. I was just leaving. I picked up my purse. I looked at James one last time. My lawyer will be in touch about dividing our assets. Don't bother coming home tonight. I've changed the locks. Izzy, he started. Don't, I said. Just don't. I walked out of that hospital room, down the hallway, into the elevator, through the lobby, and out into the September afternoon. I got in my car, drove 3 blocks, pulled into an empty parking lot, and screamed. I screamed until my throat was raw, until I couldn't scream anymore. Then I cried. Huge, gut-wrenching sobs that I'd been holding in for 9 months. When I was done, I wiped my face, fixed my makeup, and drove to my lawyer's office to begin the next phase. The custody battle was brutal. James and Monica fought back hard, arguing that I had no legal standing, that I was only doing this out of spite, that Emma needed to be with her biological parents. My lawyers argued that James had used marital assets to support his affair and his child, that both parents had demonstrated dishonesty and poor judgment, and that I had a legitimate interest in ensuring the child was raised in a stable environment. The case made local news. Scorned wife seeks custody of husband's affair. Baby was the headline in the Seattle Times. My phone rang constantly. Reporters, old friends, colleagues, everyone wanting the story. I gave one interview. Just one. To a female reporter from a local magazine who'd covered family law cases before. I told her everything. The affair, the 9 months of pretending, the hospital ambush, all of it. Some people are calling you vindictive, she said. How do you respond to that? I'm not trying to take Monica's baby away, I said. I'm trying to ensure that James takes responsibility for his actions. He created this child during our marriage, using our money, while lying to me. He doesn't get to just walk away and pretend it didn't happen. And Monica doesn't get to keep playing the victim when she knowingly had an affair with a married man. The article went viral. Thousands of comments, mostly supportive, but some calling me cruel, calculating, cold. I didn't care. I'd stopped caring what people thought the moment I found out my best friend was sleeping with my husband. The court case took 4 months. In the end, the judge ruled that while I didn't have grounds for custody, Emma wasn't my biological or adoptive child, I did have grounds for financial restitution. James was ordered to reimburse me for every penny of marital assets he'd spent on his affair, including gifts to Monica, hotel rooms, and medical expenses for the pregnancy. It totaled just over $47,000 additionally. The judge ordered that James's child support payments to Monica would be calculated based on his full income, not the reduced income he'd tried to claim. And the judge made a note in the file that both parents had demonstrated questionable judgment and character, which would be considered in any future custody disputes. It wasn't everything I'd wanted, but it was something. It was accountability. The divorce was finalized 6 months after Emma's birth. I got the house, my retirement accounts, and a significant portion of our joint assets. James got to start his new life with Monica and Emma, a life that was now permanently marked by legal documents detailing his infidelity. Monica and I never spoke again. I blocked her number, her email, her social media. As far as I was concerned, she no longer existed. James tried to reach out a few times. Apologetic emails that I deleted without reading. A letter delivered to my office that I returned unopened. He wanted forgiveness, probably. Or maybe just to assuage his guilt. Either way, I wasn't interested. I threw myself into work. I took on more custody cases, particularly ones involving parental alienation and affairs. I became known as the attorney who would fight dirty when necessary, who wouldn't let cheating spouses get away with hiding assets or abandoning responsibility. My client list grew. My reputation grew. I also started running again, something I'd given up during my marriage because James thought it was obsessive. I ran every morning before work, pounding out my anger and grief on the trails around Lake Washington. I ran my first half marathon 6 months after the divorce, my first full marathon a year later. I dated a little, cautiously. I wasn't ready for anything serious. Maybe I wouldn't be for a long time. But I went out. I met people. I remembered what it felt like to be wanted for myself, not as half of a couple. My parents were incredible through everything. They'd never particularly liked James. Too smooth, my dad always said. And when the truth came out, they were righteously furious on my behalf. My mom stayed with me for 2 weeks after the hospital confrontation, making sure I ate, forcing me to get out of the house, just being there. "I'm so proud of you," she told me. Not for the revenge, but for standing up for yourself, for not letting them make you the villain in their story. I reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. It's funny how isolation happens gradually when you're with a cheater. They slowly peel you away from your support system until you're dependent only on them. Getting those friendships back felt like reclaiming pieces of myself I'd forgotten existed. About a year after everything exploded, I ran into Monica at a coffee shop in Capitol Hill. It was unavoidable. We lived in the same city. She was pushing a stroller, Emma now a chubby toddler with James's dark hair and Monica's green eyes. We made eye contact. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Monica opened her mouth, maybe to say something, maybe to apologize. I held up my hand, stopping her. I didn't need her words. I didn't need her apologies or explanations or justifications. I simply walked past her, ordered my coffee, and left. Later, I heard through mutual friends that James had left her. Apparently, raising a child together wasn't as romantic as having an affair. They'd fought constantly about money, about responsibility, about who should wake up for the 3 a.m. feedings. Monica had moved back to Spokane to live with her mother. James was dating someone new. The affair that had destroyed my life had lasted less than 2 years before imploding on itself. Some people ask if I regret it. The hospital ambush, the custody fight, the public exposure. They ask if I took it too far. My answer is always the same. No, James and Monica made their choices. They chose to lie, to cheat, to betray someone who trusted them completely. They chose to create a child in the wreckage of my marriage. They chose to let me support Monica through her pregnancy, while knowing whose baby it was. I simply chose to make sure they faced consequences for those choices. Would a quiet divorce have been more dignified? Maybe. Would it have been more mature to just walk away? Perhaps. But they would have gotten exactly what they wanted. A clean start, a baby, a new life together, with me as the discarded wife who'd gracefully stepped aside. Instead, they got legal battles, public exposure, and the knowledge that their actions would follow them forever. Emma will grow up knowing how she was conceived. That's not my doing, that's theirs. Today I'm okay. More than okay. I have a career I'm proud of. A home that's entirely mine. Friendships that are real and honest. I have peace. I have dignity. I have the satisfaction of knowing that when I was betrayed by the two people closest to me, I didn't crumble. I fought back, strategically, legally, and with perfect timing, and I'd do it again. Did you like my story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story. With love and respect.